Namaste. Today we will talk a little bit about one of these things that has fascinated me for many years: open source software and open source movement in general. And today the location is Bandra Promenade, a place where a lot of work has been done to beautify, and it's a very nice walking place, and and a lot of crowd during the New Year time, a lot of decorations, and you can see a view of the. Unfortunately, ceiling is not visible, so it's on this side, but it is very close to the ceiling area. Maybe next time I'll get you a view of the ceiling as well. Long back, when we used to, in about 10-15 years back, open source software movement had picked up a lot of momentum in India, and I was also lucky to be part of that in a very small way. Our educational technology group at CDAC Mumbai, we focused almost completely on open source in those times. And so we worked with softwares like Moodle, GIMP, and a lot of those public easily available, very high quality software. We did a lot of work. We used it for educational applications in CDAC as well as outside. And we also contributed to some of these software segments at that time. We contributed it back to the community and helped in a little way that we could do. So today I think that movement seems to have got a little low and little less emphasis. However, I think it is very important, and particularly with what is happening in AI and all that, I think open source is going to gather a lot more momentum. So one question that people might want to ask is, what exactly is open source? There used to be times when people used to think that open source is free software that you can download free. But that's not true. So there are two elements to it. One is the when does something become open source software, and the other is how do these kind of things get developed. So I'll touch on both of this. Maybe today I'll talk about the development process, because that's actually a very exciting model. There is a little book by Eric Raymond on the open source software concept, and I would suggest you take a look at it. It's freely available on the net. So what does it mean? So what it means is that you develop a software. Okay, so let's say, for example, a while back I wrote an expert system shell. Just out of interest, I wrote it in Julia. And this is something that I wrote for my interest, because I wanted to build something. I wrote that software. And now usually what happens is, and you write it, maybe you use it for your requirement and you kind of throw it away, or you put it in your own local resource, and it dies. What would be nice is that if I could contribute this to, let's say, a common repository and say, look, I did a little work for my use to build an expert system shell, and here is what it is. And maybe somebody might across one find, say, oh, I was actually looking forward to build an expert system shell. This is nice, and you have got something, and it has, let's say, 50%, 70%, 80% of the capability that I need for my expert system shell. But I would like to add maybe an explanation facility or an uncertainty reasoning, or I would like to have improved the rule syntax a little bit so that it's more comfortable for my requirement. So if I allowed that source code, when I'm putting it up on the repository, to allow people to make use of it and say you can modify that software as you like, then that person can actually build on the code that I have given, add the modifications, and make that available to and ideally he would then contribute that modified version onto the same repository. So what I started as one piece now got a little delta added. There is a better capability, and then maybe somebody else will find and say, oh, actually this is very good, but I would like to add this more to my requirement. So there are 2-3 important elements in this whole story, and one is that I am not doing it because somebody is asking me to do it. I did it for my requirement, and therefore you would expect much better quality, much better security aspects, much better reliability, quality of code and all that, because I wrote it for my use and I needed to make it good, usable, so that I can continue to extend and all that. Similarly, when somebody else makes a modification, he is not doing it because I am asking them to do it. He is doing it because he wanted to use the piece that I had given and he wanted to extend it for his requirement. So this is what Eric Raymond calls scratching the itch, right? So it is my itch that I need to scratch. So I am concerned about the quality of the modification that I do, the work that I do, because I am not doing it on a paid basis to satisfy somebody. It is my requirement. So this philosophy is very important for the open source movement. So this series of contributions, and on top of it, when I'm making it available to somebody, it is the person who picks it also has a little feel that, okay, I've got something very nice from somewhere which significantly helped to complete my work faster in a better quality. So I should also contribute it back to the community so that it will grow. So what started as a small piece of work can actually become a massive piece of software with all that contributions. And everybody is kind of acknowledged and kind of owns what is going on there. But it is available to public. You can download it, you can modify it. So when does something become open source? There is a licensing term. So it's not like when I put the code out there, anybody can do whatever you want to do it. There are very clear licensing terms and agreements that is done for this, and that I will talk about it in another video. But for now, understand this movement. So the idea is that I do something for my sake, but I make that available to other people. So that's how Linus Torvalds did his Linux. So he said, look, I did this work and, I'm just putting it up there. So, if anybody want to do anything from there, you can do that. So it is that ability that what I'm contributing to outside is by definition allowing other people to download, to modify, to adapt, that makes the open source movement. So 4 things that characterizes the open source movement is one, the code that I am putting up is free for use for any purpose by anybody. I am not discriminating that you should be in this country, you should be in that, doing that, with this profession, nothing. It is open to anybody for use as it is. And I'm also allowing anybody who downloads it to inspect the code. So you can open up any piece of code that I've put up there. You can read through it and understand it for your own understanding purposes, to teach to somebody. So these are important use cases which I'll come back to later on. And the third is that you can modify that code, which is something that proprietary softwares don't allow you to do, even if the code is available. In most cases, the code itself is not available. So you can modify the code that I'm making available outside on the portal. So you can pick it up, you can study it, you can modify it, and the most important is that the modified version can also be distributed. So what I have given, somebody takes it, modifies it, and the modified version is getting similar distribution that I have made available. So this creates a chain reaction, something that is very positive, positivity in that chain reaction. So the software can grow. So a lot of high quality softwares have actually come out in that process of this software movement. So Moodle is one great example. We have been part of it right from the beginning, and we still continue to work on it. We use it to be extending the capabilities and contributing it back to the community. And there are a lot of others. The Firefox movement, which kind of allowed Firefox to fight the the huge Microsoft system, Internet Explorer at that time, is another great case study. And there are a lot more other softwares, GIMP for image creation, movie creation, and Audacity for audio capabilities. These are some of the examples. I'll share more of them in the next video. So I would invite all of you to understand the open source movement, try and adopt it, use open source wherever possible, contribute what modification to what work you did back to the community so that the whole environment grows. So till we see you next time, bye, take care.